food, baseball food, pizza, wings, and beer. You know, you can bring your kids in, you know, they can play pool or play the video games, or they can sit with you and watch TV too, because you got the TVs in every dining room. It's such a place that you can come in with your family and sit down. And again, it's family oriented because it's family owned. When you walk in here, it's like a TV show, Cheers. Everybody knows your name. And you can expect that from in here because everybody knows everybody else.
It's the Friday edition of the Sideline Guys here at sidelineguys.recordernews.com. We are brought to you, as always, by our friends at Crystal Ristorante, 72 Lion Street in Amsterdam, www.crystalrist.com on the web. With Mark Robarge, I'm Adam Schinder, and as the weather finally starts to clear up after all, we're right in the thick, 3 games into the Amsterdam baseball season. Most of our local teams have played 2 or 3 games, and yesterday the Rams, after a 3-0 start, finally taste defeat.
Yeah, and this loss was as much a matter of timing as anything else. As I talked to Coach Bognoto after the game, he had to kind of play with his pitching rotation a little bit because he wanted to set things up so he'd have Kyle Roofer tonight for Catholic Central, and he would have Ryan Brinkman for Monday night's game. So that left him with kind of a mix and match situation last night where he decided to throw out a bunch of his young pitchers. Dylan Angelo got the start, didn't look too bad, made it through 2 2/3 innings. And then things started to kind of get a little bit shaky. Amsterdam actually did take a 5-2 lead at one point, scoring 5 runs of their own in the 4th inning. But then the roof caved in with the young pitchers, Jacob Reinhardt, Brian Watrous, and finally Zach Dufel. Gave up 7 runs in the 5th, and then a couple more runs in the 6th, and a couple more in the 7th. They ended up losing 12-9. You know, the thing is, though, and I really liked what Coach Noto said after the game. He said, look, I told these kids not to worry about this one, that this isn't a big deal. Everybody in this league is going to lose a game here or there. The fact of the matter was that this was a learning experience. It got these kids some time on the mound. As a matter of fact, he told me a great story about the starter, Dylan Angelo. He said Dylan was out warming up 45 minutes before the game and was so amped up. And you could see that at the beginning of the game because you could tell. I sat behind home plate and he was really overthrowing the ball. And you noticed when he took his time, his fastball, he's right-handed, his fastball had a real nice tailed in on the right-handed batters. But when he tried to overthrow, thing went dead straight, and that's when they were just ripping him.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at it, baseball is not a sport where a team goes in saying, we're going to go undefeated and win a sectional championship. Unlike football, unlike basketball, you know that most teams in most balanced leagues are going to lose 4 or 5 games over the course of the year simply because you can't throw your best pitchers every day.
Absolutely.
You're going to play 3 or 4 games in a week plenty of times. Look at Fort Plain's schedule next week.
That's right.
Starting today, they play a stretch of 7 games in 8 days. Pretty much all 2 against St. Johnsville, 2 against Galway. It's a very, very long stretch. But you look at these teams, you do not expect to go unbeaten. There are certain games where you got to throw somebody and hope for the best.
Yep. And
today, the Rams will throw their best and hope for the best because Kyle Roofer, already 2-0, .78 ERA, 1 run in 9 innings. He's going against the Catholic Central team that's coming off a big win against LaSalle.
Absolutely, and as Coach said, and I think this was what impressed me, was he was willing to sacrifice this game for the fact of somewhere down the road when they're going to need these kids to pitch in pressure situations when Brinkman or Roofer's not available. This will come back, and the experience factor alone will benefit them and benefit the team in general. So it's an investment now that I think will pay off. All 4 of the kids look like they have something to offer. It is, in most cases, just the case. I mean, Jacob Reinhardt, he pitched in the opening game of the season against South Glens Falls, and I saw him look good in that game. But what you're going to get with inexperienced pitchers is you're going to get that inconsistency.
And I saw that as well from both Dylan Angelo and Zach Dufel against Brawlhall and Perth. They combined for the last 3 innings, didn't allow a run. And you look at those guys; they're just sophomores, the 2 of them. Yeah. So this is a matter of just getting their arms stretched out to the one thing this team doesn't have, if Ryan Brinkman's going to be the number 2 starter, is a true arm out of the bullpen the way Brandon Utermarks was the past couple of years for this team. So if they have someone that can, the high school closer is kind of a lost art, and a lot of these games don't really come down to that since most pitchers do tend to go 6 or 7 innings. But if you have one, it can be a weapon, and you have someone like Dylan Angelo who's got a live arm. That could be a major asset coming down the pipe.
On the other side of things, The offense again looked good last night, although I got to admit, still some wasted opportunities. They had bases loaded with nobody out in the second inning, only came out of it with 1 run. Ryan Brinkman, again, I watched him twice this season. Twice I've seen him drop some bombs. He hit one, a 3-run job last night in that 5-run fourth that cleared defense in left center with probably a good 20-25 feet to spare. He's got 3 hits all season, and 2 of them are just absolute bombs.
Yeah, you really look at the way that the top 4 in that lineup is structured, and you've got Chris Carbone, who when he can get on base, and he has at the beginning of this season, he's a guy he's the closest thing to a 5-tool player this team has. He runs, he throws, he can hit for a little bit of power, but he's a very good line drive, gap hitter. And then you've got a guy in Mark Serafin, who is kind of the ideal number 2 hitter, because he's not a big guy, he's only listed at about 5'4", but he gets his bat on the ball, and he's a good guy at moving runners. And then you've got the 2 big hitters in the middle of that lineup with Brinkman and Roofer, which helps because they go right-left.
And twice last night, Carbone and Serafin led off innings with back-to-back hits, and I mean that just you set the table for the big guys, and the big guys come through as well. And they're getting contributions, small contributions from throughout the lineup: Miller, Noto, Laverio. Everybody's contributing a little bit, especially last night when they put 9 runs on the board. This is a team that it is still going to do some damage. If they can round that and find a 3rd decent starting pitcher, or at least some combination that they can use to fill those games when they can't go with Roofer or Brinkman, they're definitely an upper echelon Big Ten team.
Yeah, because you got to realize most of these guys are still coming off either being varsity backups or JV players.
Absolutely. So, switch gears a little bit. We'll talk briefly a little Major League Baseball. We've got a couple of minutes left to talk about this. We're not going to talk about my beloved Red Sox because, quite frankly, they're still in the toilet. Although they can still go 153-9.
Hey, yeah, the 151 game winning streak is not out of the cards. But that's like saying the New York Mets could go 154-8, and
from 154 is more likely.
Yeah, from what we saw the last couple of days at Citi Field, that's not looking good. The Yankees, after a kind of rough series against Boston, started to look pretty good against Baltimore. Won a game in the last at-bat last night. It's been an interesting week and a half, 2 weeks in Major League Baseball, because you're really looking at the Colorado Rockies are playing tremendous baseball. The Texas Rangers are playing tremendous.
Well, your MVP pick, Troy Tulowitzki, 7 home runs already this season.
Playing the New York Mets will do wonders for you, apparently.
Absolutely. But, let's not put too much stock in it. Yes, the Red Sox are 2-9 right now. The Rays aren't much better. I think they're 3-8, 3-9, somewhere along those lines. Those teams aren't going to end up there. For the Red Sox, this might give you a little bit of a clue as to where they have some weaknesses that Theo Epstein's going to need to shore up, mainly the back end of the rotation. Dice K definitely looking like he's not what they're going to need. Probably could still use a little bit of help in the bullpen, but Red Sox fans, don't start panicking yet. Yankee fans, don't start gloating yet.
No, the Yankees had that little one moment of they haven't been they haven't been perfect yet this season. Obviously, they got dominated Sunday night by Josh Beckett. They got a big series coming up this weekend, the ALCS rematch with the Texas Rangers, and that's kind of the Rangers already swept the Red Sox. They can make the statement that at least in the early season, they are the class of the American League.
Although it's going to be a little tough on him now. Josh Hamilton's out 2 to 3 months now after breaking his arm. So, I mean, that's going to hurt their lineup. Their pitching staff is still, they're still trying to figure out exactly who's going to take Cliff Lee's place, if that's at all possible. But, just judging how they looked against the Red Sox, the team is definitely still one of the class teams in the league.
And I'll just take a minute to say, apparently the Cliff Lee signing has worked out so far in Philadelphia.
Finally.
99 pitch, 12 strikeout, complete game shutout last night. It's a good time to be a Phillies fan. I will be happy about that. And while these games are not most people don't think they matter as much as the game in September. The standings don't care when you win your games.
Absolutely, but momentum is a cruel, cruel mother.
That it is. And with that said, we will see you once again early next week on the Sideline Guys. For Mark, I'm Adam. We're brought to you by Crystal Ristorante, 72 Lion Street in Amsterdam. And we'll see you next time at SidelineGuys.recordernews.com.